Hello scholars, so we're looking at assessment and review. I'd like you to look at this problem right here. It says explain how an area model can represent the division of two fractions. I went ahead and made a little sheet of paper and I picked the fractions 1/2 divided by 1/4. Oops, there it goes. Try to center it. Okay, so we have 1/2 divided by 1/4. Now I want to introduce these two terms. You may have heard them before, but it's dividend and divisor. This is the dividend. The first number in our division problem is the dividend, and the divisor is at the end, okay, of the problem. So I went ahead and drew a bar model to represent 1/2. If this is one whole, this would be 1/2 of our whole, okay? So 1/2. Now, if we took that same length and brought it down here and broke it into fourths, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4 pieces to equal a whole. Now, I went ahead and drew the halfway point straight down the middle. Now, as you can see, we have two 1/4 pieces in 1/2. So 1/2, if we divided 1/2 by 1/4, the quotient, the answer, would be 2. Now, how you could write this up? Well, the dividend can represent the area of the rectangle that is shaded. This is the number of shaded squares in the rectangle. So this right here is the shaded portion of the rectangle. The divisor, what we're dividing by, can be the fraction of shaded rows out of the total number of rows. And the quotient, this part right here, is the fraction of the shaded columns out of the total number of columns. So we have two 1/4 pieces out of 1/2. So 1/2 divided by 1/4 equals 2 pieces. 1, 2. So again, the divisor can be the fraction of the shaded rows out of the total number of rows. So in this problem, our answer was 2. Now let's look at the review page. It's on page 229. The first question says, a triathlon competition consists of swimming, cycling, and running. Not all races cover the same distances. According to the USA Triathlon, the international distance triathlon consists of 9/10 miles swimming, 24 4/5 miles cycling, and 6 1/5 miles running. One of the most famous triathlons is an Ironman competition. Competitors in an Ironman competition must swim 2 2/3 times farther than competitors in an international distance triathlon. Use benchmark fractions to estimate how far competitors must swim in an Ironman triathlon. Show your work. So we're going to use benchmarks. So we're looking at the swimming portion for this problem, for this question right here. How far must competitors swim in an Ironman triathlon? We're comparing. So normally, in an international distance, it's 9/10 of a mile. That is almost one whole, because 9/10 is almost 10 out of 10, which is almost one whole. So it's almost one whole. Now, they need to swim 2 2/3 times further than this. So we're going to use some benchmark fractions. I'm going to move this to the side, and we're going to use this side of the paper. Actually, I might turn it. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to draw a benchmark. There we go. We have a benchmark. This is 0. We have our 1/2. And we have our 1 whole. Now, they swam, in a normal competition, they would swim 9/10 of a mile, so it's about right here, so almost one whole. So 9/10. Now, in an Ironman competition, they have to swim 2 2/3 times this. Now we know that 1, so 2 2/3 times. So I'm going to have one hole, I'm going to have another hole, and then I'm going to have a half of a hole. Okay, if that makes sense. So we're going to have one hole times this, two holes times this, and then we have 2/3 of a mile. Now 2/3, that's close to 1/2, but a little bit more. So 2/3 would be about right here, 2/3. So if we have one hole, two hole, and almost 1/2, then what do you think? 2.5 times? So do you think that the answer could be 2.5? Estimated about 2.5? Because if you think this is a little bit less than a hole, and this is a little bit more than half. So if we have this right here, if this is a little bit less than a hole, if this is a little bit less than a hole, and this is a little bit more than half, if you kind of estimate it out, it would be about 2.5, wouldn't you say? Now in the question, it asks you to estimate using benchmarks for part A, and then for part B, it asks you to calculate the exact distance. They want you to see if your estimation is close. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, please let me know. If you have any questions about any of these problems for the assignment and review, I'm always here to help. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.